afternoon to you. Mark out of HurricaneTrack.com here, horsing around a little bit on Halloween. Guest host, Bojack Horseman. Hope you're doing well. Let's take this off. Hey, I can try to have a little fun, right? It messes up the hair, though. Happy Halloween to you. I've always wanted to do something like that. It's been just a bad year, you know, and a lot of negativity in the news and with the weather and the hurricanes. So I figured today we'll do something, a little bit of horsing around. This is actually my son's horse mask, and when he finds out that I went in his room and got it, he'll be all mad at me. So anyway, it's Hurricane Outlook and discussion time, and luckily, horsing around today, I'm going to use that a few more times, yes. There's not a lot of serious weather to talk about, so that's good. So don't get too mad, you know, oh man, I mean, it's Halloween, come on. I'm still a kid at heart. I'm going to be 48 years old on Saturday. If you can't still have some fun, what's the point? So let's take a look at what's happening. We do have Oscar out there, and it is moving on out very quickly now into the North Atlantic. 75-mile-per-hour winds, and it is hauling the mail northeast at 29 miles per hour. This is the next several days, and it'll race off into the North Atlantic, and it'll thread the needle between Iceland, which is right here, and, of course, the northern portion of the British Isles. And hopefully it won't bring any direct impacts to that area. This was kind of a close call. Any track further to the south, or farther to the south, as it were, would mean more direct impacts, but I don't think that is going to happen at this point. But it will churn up. The North Atlantic is going to be a giant storm, and you can even see that happening now as it is losing its tropical characteristics, becoming a mid-latitude storm where the warm core gets separated and filled in, and now it's more of a baroclinic process with the atmosphere and temperature contrast, etc., the jet stream energy, instead of warm condensation energy from the tropics. Did I lose you? Maybe, but bottom line, it's going to not impact the British Isles directly, so that's good news there. Look down here. We're going to talk about this before it's all said and done. There is a little bit of serious weather to talk about, lower 48 weather, and that it is Halloween, and this is moving in. A lot of people are going to be impacted over here by some severe weather, it looks like. I want to address that before we close out today. And then down in the southeastern Pacific, still this conglomeration of cloudiness, showers, thunderstorms, etc. What does the Hurricane Center say about that? Well, if we look at the East Pacific, we've lost one of the three yellow X's that we had yesterday. And if we look at this graphically on the 5-day outlook, still a low chance of development. This one now up to 60%. So I thought we were done. 60% is not quite high yet. It's still in the medium. That's why it's orange. But we're going to have to watch and see. They say the Hurricane Center here, a large but poorly organized area of disturbed weather, is located, you know, several hundred miles south and southwest of the coast of Mexico. And then they mentioned that environmental conditions are forecast to be conducive for gradual development of the system during the next several days, and a tropical depression could form as it moves northwestward, west-northwest to northwest over time. So, yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on this. It is this feature right here that we're talking about. And but I mean, come on, strong upper-level winds. But you know what? That can change. You could build an anticyclone over this, or like an umbrella in the atmosphere, protecting it from that strong upper-level wind flow, and maybe something does, in fact, develop. So let's look at the model guidance here. This is for the Atlantic. Just wanted to show you real quick how Oscar moves up and does not, despite the large size of its circulation, it does not impact the British Isles directly here, maybe the northern portion, but no direct impacts. Another big storm system coming out of the North Atlantic. This is the next 2 weeks, by the way. Just kind of seeing the atmosphere in motion over the next 16 days is interesting. Notice down here and then up through and around the backside of the ridge, some storminess develops, and we can see that here on the Storm Prediction Center. I haven't brought this out in a while, but as I say, I want to make sure we have everybody safe so that we can build the subscriber base. You know, like I try to approach it, look at it just from a selfish perspective. I want to keep growing. You know, this business of mine, stuff's blowing around in the office. I got the windows open. And I can't do that if you're not surviving the storms. So I got to keep you alive. It's my responsibility. And it makes good business sense, right? It sure does. And hopefully I can teach you something in the process. So be aware, down here along the Gulf Coast, the I-10 corridor, coming out of the Gulf of Mexico with deep level moisture, and then a storm system moving across a low pressure area and a trailing front, enhanced risk. So to learn more about this yourself, go to weather.gov, put in your zip code, and read the hazardous weather outlook and other things like that. All right, and this is going to be coming through today, this area, and you know, along the I-10 corridor and points north, even up through I-20. I mean, an enhanced risk, that's getting on up there. We used to call that moderate. Now they've added all these different levels and layers, which is fine. This is day one today, then tomorrow it shifts east to the Panhandle. And yep, this is important because we have the recovery going on down here. So you folks going into and out of the area, especially people coming in, keep that in mind from tonight through tomorrow. And then that spreads from there, day three, into the Carolinas, but you know, hopefully in a weakened state. Want to show you this real quick. 1991 from Stu Ostro. I have followed Stu at the Weather Channel for a long time, and it's great to see him tweeting this kind of stuff. I really like Stu. Anyway, back in 1991, this was the day, the perfect storm, and yep, that was coined by Robert Case, Bob Case up in Boston. You remember this? They made a movie about it, a fantastic book by Sebastian Younger, and a hurricane, it was Grace, that was entrained in a large extratropical system, and it sent destructive waves and surge and the fetch and all that back towards New England especially. It sank the Andrea, or is it sunk? Wow, I got to brush up on my grammar. It put the Andrea Gale to the bottom of the Atlantic with all the crew on board, unfortunately. And, of course, that was part of the story in the book and all the rescues that took place. Unfortunately, there was loss of life, even from the rescuers, from the Coast Guard. What an epic event that was on today's date, roughly culminating today. You see the span there, 11/28 through 11/4. So it was a several-day event, kind of like Sandy was about 6 years ago. So just a little bit of history there. Speaking of history, I want to show you this real quick as I work on my documentary, and I'm going to bring me back just for a moment without the horse thing. This is the actual YouTube archive from when we were streaming from my old iPhone that I had on the dashboard. And I've been working on the documentary. It's going to take me a few weeks to a few months probably to really make some headway on this. There's just so much to go over. But as I go through the video, it's interesting to see and hear some of what went on. I just want to share this with you. This is when Brent, the gentleman that came to help me out with Florence and again with Michael, this is when he and I were going back to Mexico Beach to set out the GoPro to accompany the live camera, the Nest Cam that we had set up. It was streaming live, but we knew for absolute certainty that the network was going to go down. This was such a catastrophic event, and we got some advice from a friend of ours at the National Hurricane Center, really encouraging us to put the GoPro box out there, and this is the moment that we did that. I want to show you this. You see we're approaching from the west on 98, the small canal that goes through. Toucans is on the right. There it is on the right. We pull into the gas station, and right there you can see that's the camera box that was already streaming live. That's it right there. And we pull into the gas station, and I guess you could say we began to make history. It's just so weird to go back and you see all of this knowing what happened, right? Oh, man, just amazing. And this place right here, this is an interesting, let's let it go a little more. This place right here is interesting. This whole top section is gone. This is just completely flat. Move me out of the way. like it was sheared off. And I've got some theories about how that happened. Some of it was wind, but a lot of it, too, believe it or not, was surge coming in, these waves and jets of water that were blasted through there. But it's interesting, the people that were staying here, and I think that own it, they were really encouraging us, and I use that term very lightly, to put the cameras right here, okay? We were setting it up Tuesday night, and they were up there. They were drinking and having a good time, and they were like, you ought to put the camera up there. We ended up putting it, of course, on the light pole, which I can show you real quick. A lot of people have asked, where did you put that camera? Well, here you can see exactly where we put it. That's the live camera right there. The GoPro went here, I do believe. We put it underneath, and the shot was out towards the Gulf of Mexico. But the folks in that building, that house or whatever, were like, you really ought to put it up on the balcony. And we were like, no, we're good, thank you. And they actually got a little bit, the guy did, kind of angry with us, frustrated, oh, come on, this is a better view up here. Well, I'm here to tell you, that whole second floor doesn't exist anymore. It was completely blown away. And it just goes to show, people try to be helpful, I get it, but we know what we're doing. We attached it to this pole, and these are very sturdy. They're driven into the ground, and as long as nothing bulldozes those and shears them off, they're still there. And as we know from the work that we did, our stuff survived. We put the GoPro right there, and then this was the shot out towards Toucans, which is off to the right here out of this particular shot. History was made. All right, so I just wanted to show you that. Let's go back to this. All right, so let's get rid of me. Hope you enjoyed. Come on, go away. Bye, Mark. Hope you enjoyed the horse, and I hope you don't get too upset about it. I have to have fun. It's Halloween. I might do something fun on April 1st as well. Twice a year. Other than that, it's all serious, trying to keep you updated and informed, and most importantly, alive. All right? Have a great Halloween. In all seriousness, please drive slowly out there. Kids, parents, friends, uncles, aunts, grandmas, grandpas, whoever, they're going to be out there trick-or-treating, and you got to slow down. Okay? Please, please, please be very careful. That's my public service message for today. You have to slow down. Just don't even drive unless you have to during the trick-or-treat hours, and be super-duper careful. And you, the folks that have kids like me, be careful with them as well, okay? An extra eye out, and, I want you back here on November 1st, and your kids. But all in all, have fun. This is the day to do so, I think, especially after what we've been through this year. All right, I'm done. I'm Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. And I'll be back without the horse gear tomorrow. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks.